Hello again, everyone. We are going to begin our Proverbs class. If you could come find a seat, please. Once again, just to reiterate the format, what we're going to do is for the first half of the hour, we're going to hear what the book of Proverbs says about marriage. Again, it's a little different than other sermons. Most sermons have a few verses and a lot of explanation. This is kind of the opposite of a lot of verses and so fewer explanation. And once we hear what the book of Proverbs says about marriage, we'll then break into groups, women on that side, men on this side, and we'll discuss how to apply it to our lives. As you might remember, the structure of these lessons is that leadership begins in the heart and emanates outwards. So these things are built on each other. Seeking wisdom, being self-controlled, having a good marriage, raising children, they all build on one another. And it's be a little frustrating for some people. Sometimes we think, well, my kids are out of control and they're driving me crazy. My wife is driving me crazy. Just give me the answer so that I can fix this and they'll stop bothering me. Well, that's not how it works. You can't just hear the little fix-it thing for marriage or parenting. You have to start from the heart, from the very beginning. The very first thing you have to do is seek to be wise. And the way that you're wise is by fearing the Lord, Proverbs tells us. So you fear the Lord, you are humbled before Him, and you realize you need Him. And in that position of humility, you say, Lord, will you please teach me how to live? I don't know how to live my life. And being taught how to be wise, well, then you can rule yourself. You can have leadership over your own passions and desires and feelings. You control yourself by the wisdom that you receive from Scripture. And once you have that wise mastery of yourself, well, then you can lead and bless the other people in your life. How could you expect to lead your wife if you can't control yourself? How could you expect to lead your children if you can't be a blessing to your spouse and you can't control yourself? And indeed, your kids will see through that. So if you want to be a good spouse, a good husband, and a good wife, if you want to be a good parent, well, you need to do those other two things I talked about first. You need to seek wisdom, and you need to have self-control. And then now, having heard those two things, we will look to see today what Proverbs says about marriage. And one thing you should know before we get into it, and by the way, sorry to pause myself. We do have some handouts, but I don't think we have them yet. Sorry, Mike. Mike was literally walking, and as soon as he touched the seat, he got up again. Thank you, Mike. It wasn't his fault, by the way. It's my fault. So we got some handouts being passed around. What? Yeah, they're right in the office next to the chairs. So we got some handouts. These are a list of all the different Proverbs that I'm reading today, and then some discussion questions on the back. I'm going to read so many Proverbs, you probably don't want to have your hand moving the whole time. What I was going to note is as we look to see what the book of Proverbs says about marriage, you need to remember, ladies in particular, that Proverbs was written by a father to a son. So yes, it does have a very masculine slant. But that doesn't mean, of course, that men are better or more important. It just means that since the original audience was more similar to the men in this room than the women, you women will just need to take a few more logical steps to turn it around and see how the advice would apply to you as a woman. The key proverb for marriage is Proverbs chapter 30, verses 21 to 23. I think this proverb kind of summarizes all of Proverbs' teaching on marriage. I see the lessons here as able to contain everything else that the book of Proverbs says about marriage. Let me read it first, and then I will explain it. Under 3 things the earth trembles. Under 4 it cannot bear up. A slave when he becomes king. And the better way to understand that is not a slave becoming king, but like a chief advisor becoming king. A chief of staff who starts a coup and overthrows the king. That is the first thing that the earth cannot bear up under, that causes chaos and dissolution in society. That's the first thing. The second thing is when a fool is filled with food. A fool deserves to just have a little bit of food and barely get by. A fool, he deserves to be poor. When someone who is lazy and ignorant is rewarded, that's not good. It signals to everyone else that you can be lazy and ignorant and selfish and everything will turn out okay. No, society ought to be that those who are foolish just get a little, and those who are wise and hardworking and good have much. Then the illustrations switch from politics and then just general society, and then these last two have to do with marriage. The third thing that the earth trembles under, and it cannot bear up under, is when an unloved woman gets a husband. And that is understood in parallel to the previous scenario. A fool being filled with food is like better translated, a hated woman getting a husband. This is an unworthy woman. Just as a fool who's stupid and evil doesn't deserve to get a bunch of reward, so also a woman that is foolish and selfish and evil does not deserve to have a husband. And when such a woman gets a husband, well, things are bad. Again, the bad type of person is being rewarded. It sends a bad signal to everyone else. And then the final scenario is like the chief of staff overthrowing the king. That's when a maidservant displaces her mistress. So then that is that there's someone in the house that the husband chooses instead of his wife. He gets rid of his wife and he marries this other woman instead. What do we learn from this proverb? We learn a few things. First of all, we learn the importance of marriage. Now, all these things are kind of foundations for society. They're foundations for the world in the metaphor. And when one of the evil things happens in these scenarios, well, it brings instability to everything else. When the king is done away with by his chief of staff, it communicates to everyone below, this is the game now. Get rid of the people ahead of you and move up. No one has any real authority. It's just authority is determined by who is scheming and violent enough. The fool being given food, it signals to everybody, you don't have to work hard. You can be stupid. It doesn't matter. The unloved woman, then, when she gets a husband, this marital act here, when it's done in an improper way, it is a bad foundation for society. When women who are unvirtuous, who are vicious, get a husband, when men go after these women, well, it creates instability for everything else. And then likewise, when a man is unfaithful to his wife and goes after another, he is bringing instability to society. And you can see then the importance of marriage. Proverbs here and all throughout it is saying that marriage is like a bedrock for everything else. Indeed, that's the case in our church too. The bedrock of our church is, yes, godly individuals, but then up from that is godly marriages. Your marriage is not just about you and your wife. Of course, it's about your kids too, but it's also about everyone else. And so everybody needs to be invested in the health of the marriages around us. That's what you can see here is the importance of marriage. A husband leaving his wife for his mistress is just as disastrous for society as a king being taken out by his chief of staff. And you can see then, more specifically, a couple more lessons. That righteous and stable marriages are achieved in this way. First of all, they are achieved when a man marries a virtuous woman. And so therefore, what men need to know is what makes a virtuous woman. What's the difference between a woman that should be loved and a woman that should be hated? Men need to know this so that we will marry the right women. And then likewise, women need to know what's the proper type of woman to be. I don't want to be a fool. I don't want to be someone who doesn't deserve marriage. I want to be someone who it will be a blessing to all when I do get married. And the second thing that needs to happen is that a man needs to stay faithful to his wife. And so men, therefore, need to learn to control themselves and direct all of their romantic desires to their wife. And likewise, women need to direct all of their romantic desires to their husband. So then the first thing that we need to investigate is who is a virtuous woman? How can a man find such a woman? How can a man help his wife become such a woman? And then for you, woman, how can you be that type of woman? And the first category of Proverbs is the value of a virtuous woman. And first of all, there is Proverbs 12:4. An excellent wife is the crown of her husband, but she who brings shame is like rottenness in his bones. See, it takes wisdom for a man to find and woo a virtuous woman. And so when he does that, it's his crown. It's the crowning achievement of his life. That look, I found an excellent, wonderful woman. I identified her, and I was able to be wise myself in order to woo her and have her agree to marry me. And this is the crown of my life. Whatever other wise things I did throughout my life, none matches the blessing that I've received by marrying my wonderful wife. Proverbs 18:22, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. Proverbs 19:14, house and wealth are inherited from fathers, but a prudent wife is from the Lord. A virtuous wife is an amazing blessing, and like all amazing blessings, it comes from the Lord. No man deserves to be married to a virtuous woman, and that's a very important thing that especially you single men need to know. You can't come to God and say, why haven't you given me my right yet? Here I am, waiting, 21 years old, and I still don't have my godly, beautiful wife. God, you have been letting me down. That's not how Proverbs presents this. Proverbs presents an excellent, prudent wife as a gift, as a grace, as a blessing. And by that definition, it's not something that can be demanded of God. It's something, rather, that should be asked for from God in humility. God, I see how wonderful it would be for me to marry a virtuous woman. Please give me a woman like that. Help me see her. Help me be worthy of her. Proverbs 31:10-12, an excellent wife who can find? She is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. That is the value of a virtuous woman. Here are her characteristics. First of all, she is wise. Proverbs 11:22, like a gold ring in a pig's snout is a beautiful woman without discretion. Proverbs 14:1, the wisest of women builds her house, but folly with her own hands tears it down. Proverbs 24:3-4, by wisdom a house is built, and by understanding it is established. By knowledge the rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches. If you want to be a good wife who builds up her house, you will do that by knowledge and understanding. Proverbs 27:9, oil and perfume make the heart glad, and the sweetness of a friend comes from his earnest counsel. Wives, you can be a great blessing to your husband through your earnest counsel. And some of you are thinking, well, my spouse, whether my husband or my wife, I don't think they're all that wise. What can I do? Here's Proverbs 13:20. Whoever walks with the wise becomes wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. Husbands, if your wife is not wise, well, that might be saying something about yourself. The idea here is that if you're wise, the people that are with you are also going to become wise. And to put it even more specifically, to leave the book of Proverbs, Ephesians 5 says that husbands are to wash their wives with the water of the word. And so husbands, if you're thinking, well, my wife isn't wise, well, it's your job to help her become wise, of course, with all gentleness and humility. And women, I hope you can see the hope in this too, that you might be thinking, yeah, my husband is not very wise. Well, guess what? You can be a blessing to him. You can help him become more wise. Again, as you walk with him in your own wisdom, that'll rub off on him. So that's the first characteristic of the virtuous woman. She is wise. She is also peaceful. Proverbs 17:1, better is a dry morsel with quiet than a house full of feasting with strife. That is, if you've probably seen this in your own experience, whether yourself or others, you can have all you want, all the money, all the good times, but if the marriage is not good, if you guys are fighting, well, everything else is going to be bitter. And so it's so important that both husband and wife are peaceful people. Proverbs 19:13, a foolish son is ruin to his father, and a wife's quarreling is a continual dripping of rain. Proverbs 21:9 and 25:24 say the same thing. It is better to live in a corner of the housetop than in a house shared with a quarrelsome wife. Proverbs 21:19, it is better to live in a desert land than with a quarrelsome and fretful woman. Proverbs 27:15-16, a continual dripping on a rainy day and a quarrelsome wife are alike. To restrain her is to restrain the wind, or to grasp oil in one's right hand. And so you can see it's very important that a wife is peaceful, that she's not nagging, that she's not quarrelsome and fretful. And if you're wondering, well, our marriage unfortunately doesn't have much peace. Proverbs does give some strategies for peace. Listen to these. Here's Proverbs 10:12. Hatred stirs up strife, but love covers all offenses. It's kind of saying that the most basic antidote to a fractious marriage, the most basic antidote is love. That's what you need most basically. If you love, you can overlook offenses. You can patiently and gently deal with offenses. But when you don't have that love, there's going to be constant friction and there's going to be strife. Proverbs 11:17, a man who is kind benefits himself, but a cruel man hurts himself. You know, husbands, if there's, again, quarreling in your marriage, it might be your fault. It might be because you are using your authority and you're lording it over your spouse and you're being cruel, you're being harsh, and in so doing, you're just making things hard for yourself. That's what it says there. A cruel man hurts himself. If you're cruel and harsh with your wife, it's not going to be good for you. Be kind to her. Be patient with her. Be gentle with her. You do all that, you will be benefiting yourself. Proverbs 15:1, a soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Every time that your spouse says something that you don't like, well, you have an opportunity to tone things down by answering with a soft answer rather than a harsh word. Proverbs 17:14, the beginning of strife is like letting out water, so quit before the quarrel breaks out. Don't say, well, I'm just going to have my peace. I'm going to really make my point clear on this issue, and then we'll wrap things up. It doesn't work like that. If you're going to have your way and think, no, I really got to express myself in here, it's just going to get out of hand, and soon enough you'll say, what are we even fighting about? So just right at the beginning, don't let it go. Right at the beginning, cut off the quarreling. Right at the beginning, have a soft answer and bring peace. That was under the category of peacefulness is what makes a virtuous woman. Another is love. Proverbs 15:17. Better is a dinner of herbs where love is than a fattened ox and hatred with it. It's much better to have love in your marriage than have all kinds of wealth and prosperity. Proverbs 31:20. This is describing the excellent woman. She opens her hand to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. This excellent woman is compassionate and kind, not just to her husband, but to all kinds of people. Again, Proverbs 31, verse 26 this time, she opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. Not only is she wise, but she teaches her wisdom in a loving and kind way. And one thing that you need to know in your marriage, and this is kind of a counterbalance to the part about the peacefulness, is that love is willing to hurt. Proverbs 27:5, better is open rebuke than hidden love. And then Proverbs 27:6, faithful are the wounds of a friend, profuse are the kisses of an enemy. So a good husband and a good wife are going to sometimes have to say hard things to their spouse, but it's going to be done in a gentle way, a soft way, and peace will always be sought to be maintained. The excellent woman, she is industrious. Proverbs 31 elaborates on this extensively. Verses 13-19 say this, she seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. She is like the ships of the merchant. She brings her food from afar. She rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household and portions for her maidens. She considers a field and buys it with the fruit of her hands. She plants a vineyard. She dresses herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable. Her lamp does not go out at night. She puts her hand to the distaff, and her hands hold the spindle. And then verse 27, she looks well to the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Sometimes we can have in our minds that the ideal for a woman is, like a woman from one of Jane Austen's novels. Just this woman from the landed gentry who just plays with her kids and hangs out with people in the parlor and goes on walks all day. That's not what Proverbs says is the ideal for a woman. She works hard just like the man. And then the last quality of the woman, the excellent woman, is that she has dignity. Proverbs 31, verses 21 to 25. She is not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household are clothed in scarlet. She makes bed coverings for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them. She delivers sashes to the merchant. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. And then Proverbs 31, 28 to 31. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the gates. Very simple. Men, as you are looking for a wife, or even as you think about your own wife, you need to have the proper values. Don't have the values that the world has of what makes a good wife, of what makes a good woman. Instead, listen to God's word. According to God's word, the type of woman that you should be seeking, or if you're married, the type of woman that you should hope your wife is and should help her to be, is wise, peaceful, loving, industrious, dignified. And likewise, women, don't be discouraged that you don't meet whatever silly worldly standard there is. If you want to be an excellent wife, which is an amazing, precious thing, then seek these qualities: wisdom, peacefulness, love, industriousness, and dignity. And when a man finds a woman like that and she agrees to marry him, it's a wonderful thing. It's a blessing for everybody. And from there, then, the task changes. Now this wonderful union has been realized, and now it needs to be preserved. And so now we come to the second section, avoiding the forbidden woman. Now that the man has married the virtuous woman, he needs to keep his affections on her all his life and not turn aside to the forbidden woman. And so we'll look here and see who that forbidden woman is and how we can avoid her. And first I want to read Proverbs 19:22. It says, "What is desired in a man is steadfast love, and a poor man is better than a liar." And men, I want you to hear that and hear that it should be your goal to boast that you are a faithful person. You show steadfast love, and particularly to your wife. I said I was going to love her, and you can count on me because I have loved her. If you can stand up in public and tell everyone you're going to love this one person all your life, and then you don't do that, well, you're a liar, and you're not really of use to any other people. If you can't love this one person who you made this whole big show about, why would I think you can love or be trusted with anything else? We need to be faithful to our wives, and we need to resist the forbidden women. And of course, women, I hope you can hear in this what type of woman not to be. Here are the characteristics of a forbidden woman. Most simply, what do I mean by this? Is she a prostitute? Is she just a foreigner? No, she's generally a woman who has multiple sexual partners. That comes from Proverbs 2:17. She is the one who forsakes the companion of her youth, which would imply that the virtuous woman is, apart from the death of her spouse, a woman who only has relations with one man her whole life. That monogamy is central to this good marriage, and the woman who goes against monogamy, she's the forbidden woman. So she has had multiple partners, and secondly, she is reckless with her sexuality. Proverbs 30, verse 18 to 20 says this, "3 things are too wonderful for me, 4 I do not understand." These first 4 things are amazing, transcendent things that God has created, and to consider these things is to marvel at the God who made them. And the other thing that all 4 have in common is that the things don't leave any trace. The first is the way of an eagle in the sky. Second is the way of a serpent on a rock. Third, the way of a ship on the high seas. And fourth, the way of a man with a virgin. And that's a good marriage. This is all in contrast then to the way of an adulteress. She eats and wipes her mouth and says, "I have done no wrong." The thing that the adulteress has in common with the other four things is that she leaves no trace of what she did. But then in contrast to the sublime beauty of the first four, the adulterous woman is characterized by ugliness and violence and carelessness and recklessness. She doesn't even care that she is destroying society, that she is destroying families. She just does what she wants. And so then we come to the strategies of faithfulness. How do we avoid this woman? And the first thing that Proverbs talks about is speech. What I think is so remarkable is that in Proverbs 5, 6, and 7, which each in their way discuss the forbidden woman, the key characteristic of this woman and the key way to avoid the woman is speech. And I think that's so profound because I think the way that we're often going to think about lust is that it's a visual thing. That the reason that the man went and slept with that woman is apparently he just was more attracted to her than to his wife. That's not what Proverbs would say. Proverbs says the real danger is in the speech. The real decision is, who am I going to listen to? Am I going to listen to the seductive woman, or am I going to listen to God's word and the wisdom therein? And so listen to these proverbs that talk about this primary characteristic of the forbidden woman as someone who deceives and destroys with her speech. Proverbs 2:16, the adulteress with her smooth words is how she is characterized. Proverbs 5:3, for the lips of a forbidden woman drip honey, and her speech is smoother than oil. Proverbs 6:24, to preserve you from the evil woman, from the smooth tongue of the adulteress. 7:5, to keep you from the forbidden woman, from the adulteress with her smooth words. Proverbs 7:13-21, she seizes him and kisses him, and with bold face she says to him, I had to offer sacrifices, and today I have paid my vows. So now I have come out to meet you, to seek you eagerly, and I have found you. I have spread my couch with coverings, colored linens from Egyptian linen. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let us take our fill of love till morning. Let us delight ourselves with love. For my husband is not at home. He has gone on a long journey. He took a bag of money with him. At full moon he will come home. With much seductive speech she persuades him. With her smooth talk she compels him. You can see here some of the specifics of this seductive speech of the forbidden woman. One, it's affectionate. She kisses him. She says, I love you. I've been seeking for you. It's confident. Against she has a bold face. She says, I've taken care of all this stuff. I'm all ready. We're all good to go. She is effusive in how devoted she is to the man. I've done all of this for your sake. I'm obsessed with you. It is sexual. And number 5, note that it minimizes the consequences. She says, no one's going to find out. My husband's gone. I know exactly when he's going to get back. We've got nothing to worry about. We're just going to enjoy ourselves and there'll be no consequences. This is the type of seductive speech that needs to be avoided. It needs to be avoided from listening to it and from saying it. Proverbs 22:14, the mouth of a forbidden woman is a deep pit. He with whom the Lord is angry will fall into it. That's saying that the person who listens to seductive speech is cursed. So if you want to be cursed, go listen to what loose women say online. It'll be a trap for you. And if you fall into it, it'll be a sign that God is angry with you. That's what God lets happen to the people that he's angry with. He lets them listen to what seductive women say and be destroyed by it. And you want to be cursed by God? Well, just go down to a bar and talk to loose women. You'll enjoy it in the moment, and in the end, you will be destroyed. If you do those things, you will show yourself to be cursed by God. And what is so profound is just as speech is the most powerful weapon of the forbidden woman, so also speech is the most powerful weapon in avoiding the forbidden woman. Wisdom is the key. Our understanding of things is the key. The reason that people leave their spouses, that they are unfaithful, is because they don't understand marriage. They don't see God's goodness in it. They are naive about the consequences of sin. People go into those things not because they just saw something nice, no, but because they are confused and deceived and proud in their heads. They are listening to lies and they are being governed by lies. And similarly, the person that is faithful is not just the person who, for whatever reason, happens to be happy with his wife. No, the faithful man is the one who sees marriage, sees his wife, sees all other women through the lens of Scripture. He listens to what Scripture says and has that determine how he conducts himself in the romantic area of his life. Here's Proverbs 2, 9-10, and then verse 16, which connects the sentence together. Solomon says, "Then you will understand righteousness and justice and equity, every good path, for wisdom will come into your heart and knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. So you will be delivered from the forbidden woman." Proverbs 5, 1-3, "My son, be attentive to my wisdom. Incline your ear to my understanding, that you may keep discretion and your lips may guard knowledge. For the lips of a forbidden woman drip honey." Proverbs 6, 23-24, "The commandment is a lamp and the teaching a light, and the reproofs of discipline are the way of life, to preserve you from the evil woman, from the smooth tongue of the adulteress." Proverbs 7, 1-5, "My son, keep my words and treasure up my commandments with you. Keep my commandments and live. Keep my teaching as the apple of your eye. Bind them on your fingers, write them on the tablet of your heart. Say to wisdom, you are my sister, and call insight your intimate friend, to keep you from the forbidden woman, from the adulteress with her smooth words." Proverbs 7:24, "And now, O sons, listen to me and be attentive to the words of my mouth." And that's in the context of this is how you will avoid the seductive woman. The father says, don't listen to her, don't listen to that long speech. Instead, listen to what I'm saying. And again, sometimes us Christians can present lust as merely a visual thing, thinking, well, as long as I'm not looking at real or pictures of scantily clad women, I'm pure, I'm good. That's not, though, what Proverbs says. If you are listening to people who encourage and celebrate infidelity, then you are on the road to lust. You are doing the very thing that Solomon is saying not to do. It doesn't matter that you're not looking at something. Who are you listening to? If you are listening to somebody, again, who is celebrating infidelity, you are already beginning to fall. You are the victim of the forbidden woman's strategies. Sometimes there may be a woman who flatters you and flirts with you in efforts to seduce you, and you need to stop listening to her. You need to see the danger therein. You need to realize the power that she has. Yes, it sounds good, and that's precisely why you need to run away from it. And of course, often in our world, though, we will hear the seductive speech of women who are impure, not from women that we meet in person and we know, but often we will hear this speech from women that we will never meet. We hear it online, we hear it in TV shows. And even though we don't know these women, their seductive and impure speech motivates us to infidelity with another. You need to see the danger of speech that encourages or stimulates desire for sex outside of marriage. Instead of listening to such speech, go and listen to what the Bible and what righteous men and women say about marriage and sex. And then you need to know that. Be careful what you are listening to. You don't only have to guard your eyes, but your ears too. Probably even primarily you have to guard your ears. And women, you need to know the great power that you have to control men by your speech, and you need to resolve to never use it for evil and sinful purposes. Never use your romance or your beauty to manipulate a man. Resolve that your speech would only ever encourage every person to be faithful to their spouse. The forbidden woman, she seduces with her speech, but she also seduces with her appearance. And therefore, when men see a beautiful woman, we cannot let her come into our hearts or our imaginations, and we need to avoid being in situations where we could be taken by her. This is what Proverbs 7:25 says. First of all, let not your heart turn aside to her ways. So don't desire her in your heart. And then secondly, do not stray into her paths. Do not go to the area where she is. Stay away from her. And in staying away from her, don't desire her in your heart. Here's Proverbs 6:25. Do not desire her beauty in your heart, and do not let her capture you with her eyelashes. It's a bit of a cliche, but it's true. No one has ever just woken up in all purity and devotion to their wife and said, today I'm going to ruin it all. I'm going to go find a woman and have an affair. Likewise, no single Christian man has ever woken up in all purity and said, hey, I'm going to go hook up with a girl after all. No, it starts by desiring her beauty in your heart. It starts by letting her capture you with her eyelashes. Again, this can happen with a real life woman, and it can also happen with a forbidden woman on the internet, on the TV. And that's the thing. If you watch TV, if you go on the internet, heads up, you are going to see pictures of beautiful women. It's going to happen. And what you need to resolve is that you will not let them capture you. You will not desire their beauty in your heart. Sure, you're going to see them, but just move on. Do not stay there on the page. Don't go on her Instagram page. Don't Google her. Don't go watch the movie that she's in. Do not desire her beauty in your heart. That is the first step on the way to destruction. And again, what I even mean by this is that don't stare at modest pictures of beautiful women. Just don't do it. If they're not your wife, don't let their beauty capture you in your heart. And not only that, but us men also need to avoid putting ourselves in vulnerable situations. Again, if you've got a problem with alcohol, don't just go hang out at the bar by yourself at 1 a.m. And in the same way, if you are someone who struggles with sexual temptation, well, don't go put yourself in a situation where there's going to be temptation. Solomon mocks the youth who does this in Proverbs 7, 6-10. And you should note that it says later that this man, this youth who goes out to this bad neighborhood, it says that he's persuaded by the woman, which means that as he goes out here, he hasn't made up his mind that he's going to have a relation with this forbidden woman. It's probably more he's thinking, we'll see what happens. I'm bored tonight, got nothing else to do. Maybe there's some excitement. Hey, I heard some people went down here. And he lies to himself, saying that it's just going to be an innocent stroll through the city. Proverbs 7, 6-10 says this, at the window of my house I have looked out through my lattice, and I have seen among the simple, I have perceived among the youths, a young man lacking sense, passing along the street near her corner, taking the road to her house in the twilight, in the evening at the time of night and darkness. And behold, the woman meets him, dressed as a prostitute, wily of heart. She captures him with her appearance, is what happens there. And so what we need to do is avoid being in places where a woman could capture us with her appearance. Don't go places where you might meet loose women. It's pretty simple. But it happens all the time because men lie to themselves and they say, who knows what's going to happen? Just don't do it. Don't go where you might be vulnerable. In the same way, don't go scrolling around on the internet when you're alone. Don't go watch movies when you're all by yourself. Don't make yourself vulnerable in that way, lying to yourself. And women, do not try to capture men with your beauty. Don't do it in person and don't do it on social media. And then the other great antidote that Solomon gives for avoiding the forbidden woman is having a happy marriage. Proverbs 5, 15-20, drink water from your own cistern, flowing water from your own well. Should your springs be scattered abroad, streams of water in the streets, let them be for yourself alone and not for strangers with you. Let your fountain be blessed and rejoice in the wife of your youth, a lovely deer, a graceful doe. Let her breasts fill you at all times with delight. Be intoxicated always in her love. Why should you be intoxicated, my son, with a forbidden woman and embrace the bosom of an adulteress? If a man gives himself to a forbidden woman, he gets nothing back. To this woman who has all kinds of lovers, he gives himself and it just empties him. He comes away with nothing. And eventually it will destroy him. And the exact opposite thing happens when a man loves his virtuous wife. When that happens, he doesn't just give himself away and empty himself. Rather, he starts a virtuous cycle of love. He loves his wife and his wife loves him back. And in that love, they have children and they're a blessing to others. When you go after these forbidden women, again, you're just destroying yourself. So instead, give yourself completely to your spouse and see the blessings that keep coming your way as you do that. And finally, the consequences of a forbidden woman. Proverbs 2, 18-19. Her house sinks down to death, and her paths to the departed. None who go to her come back, nor do they regain the paths of life. 5:4-14. In the end, she is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps follow the path to Sheol. She does not ponder the path of life. Her ways wander, and she does not know it. And now, O sons, listen to me, and do not depart from the words of my mouth. Keep your way far from her, and do not go near the door of her house, lest you give your honor to others and your years to the merciless. Lest strangers take their fill of your strength, and your labors go to the house of a foreigner. And at the end of your life you groan when your flesh and body are consumed, and you say, how I hated discipline, and my heart despised reproof. I did not listen to the voice of my teachers, or incline my ear to my instructors. I am at the brink of utter ruin in the assembled congregation. 6:26-35. The price of a prostitute is only a loaf of bread, but a married woman hunts down a precious life. Can a man carry fire next to his chest and his clothes not be burned? Or can one walk on hot coals and his feet not be scorched? So is he who goes into his neighbor's wife. None who touches her will go unpunished. People do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy his appetite when he is hungry. But if he is caught, he will pay sevenfold. He will give all the goods of his house. He who commits adultery lacks sense. He who does it destroys himself. He will get wounds and dishonor, and his disgrace will not be wiped away. For jealousy makes a man furious, and he will not spare when he takes revenge. He will accept no compensation. He will refuse, though you multiply gifts. And then 7:22-23 and 26-27. All at once he follows her, as an ox goes to the slaughter, or as a stag is caught fast till an arrow pierces its liver, as a bird rushes into a snare. He does not know that it will cost him his life. For many a victim has she laid low, and all her slain are a mighty throng. Her house is the way to Sheol, going down to the chambers of death. Ultimately, a relationship with a forbidden woman does not bring anything productive. You can't make a home with her. You can't raise kids with her. You can't build wealth with her. You can't build a reputation with her. Apart from the sin against your own wife and God, the price of an affair is your children, your money, and your reputation. The unfaithful man sins against not only his wife, but also his children and everyone who knows him. As a good marriage is a blessing to all, so an unfaithful man or woman is a curse for all. And accordingly, you will be appropriately distrusted and avoided if you betray your spouse. Again, what matters in a man is steadfast love. And if you won't show that, well, then you're really of no use to society. And you'll find that out as your life becomes more and more lonely and you become miserable. If you want to be joyful, you want to be happy and have a fulfilled life, then love your wife and give yourself completely to her. And likewise, women, the same with your husband. Let me pray. God, please help us understand your word. Help us to listen to you and not the seductive words of the world. Help us to live lives that honor you. Amen.